Everybody, what's up? It's Chapman here. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build this moss and bone meal farm. It is 2 farms in one. It is kind of an altered version of the previous moss farm that we used to have. It requires a lot less redstone. And these right here, these are the items that you are going to need for the entire build. So while you're over building your redstone witch farm to get yourself some redstone, grab a slime block while you were there. And while you're at it, also just make a quick pit stop to the nether and get your hands on what? 7 quartz? We need 7 quartz, okay? But these are the items that you are going to need in order to build this entire farm. And to start, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to place down a barrel with a hopper going into it. And then we're going to take 4 droppers and we're going to stack all of those going straight up into the sky with a single dispenser. And then around this dispenser, we are going to make a 5x5 area. And this has to be in the center. And once you have your 5x5 stone area done, now what we're going to do is on all 3 sides, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to run 4 solid blocks of stone, then an obsidian, 4 solid blocks of stone, obsidian, and 4 solid blocks of stone with obsidian. And that is what you should have right there. And now, off of these pieces of obsidian, we're going to run some stone stairs with a glass beside it, 4 pistons going inwards, with another glass, some stairs, and then another glass inside there. And now, with all of that done, that is what it should look like. Now we're just going to repeat that on all 3 sides. So stair, glass, 1, 2, 3, 4 pistons with some glass, stair going in, and then glass again. And then just repeat that one more time for this final side over here. And with all of that done, that is what you should have right there. It looks a little awkward. It's supposed to be awkward. Now, from here, what's going to happen is these things are going to push in to kind of push out some moss when it grows. But to stop them from pushing the pistons out, we need to come behind each of these pistons and run a piece of obsidian. And that is going to keep everything locked in place. And then above these pistons, we are going to run 4 solid blocks. And then above each stair, we are just going to place a single piece of glass. Now what we are going to do is out and around those pieces of glasses that we just placed. Actually, you know what? We're going to fill it in there too as well. But we are going to take some solid blocks and we are going to run these out and around. Right like that, and this little set of stone is where we are going to run some redstone. And then from here, what we need to do is there's going to be water that flows from these stairs in front of these pistons, and we're also going to have lava up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run some glass in front of this gap. And believe it or not, we're actually going to make this 2 blocks tall. And that is what you should have right there. Now, with all of that done, we should have a 5x5 opening right here in the center. What we're going to do is we're going to take this center block and we're going to replace it with a piece of moss. And then from here in the front opening that we have, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks like so. We're going to build up 2 high on the corner. We're going to build this glass out the front, 1 more block, 3 high, just like that. We're going to run some iron bars in between the center of those 3 blocks. And that is what we should have right there. And now what's going to happen is that this moss right here, when it gets hit with bone meal, it is going to turn the surrounding area into moss as well. All of it is going to flow towards these iron bars. And the next thing that we need to do is put in some redstone. Now, from here, we're going to remove this piece of glass. We're going to put down 1 piece of redstone, a temporary block, so that way we can place a dispenser going down. And then above this redstone, we're just going to place down a solid block, with an observer facing out from that solid block. And then jumping up, we're going to place 4 pieces of glass in front of that dispenser, 3 more next to it, and then 1 more connecting up to here. All of this is going to be used to run some redstone. Particularly, we're going to run 2 comparators facing opposite of each other, a repeater in front of that observer, and then the rest we're just going to fill with some redstone. Now, that right there, that is a pulse extender, and what this is going to be used for is this is going to be used to actually dump some water down on the system. Just like that, but we want this repeater to be on number 1. Then connecting into this redstone, we're going to run a repeater. We are going to run down a connecting block, and then we are going to take our redstone, and we are going to cover all of this gray that we see here, as well as running it up and then going into that repeater. Now, I may have just thrown all of that together a little awkwardly, but basically what's going to happen is we're going to have some redstone that comes up from the bottom. All of the redstone on the thing is going to fire these pistons, also come up and then trigger this, and then that is what is going to be used to break the moss and flush the system at the same time. Now what we're going to do before we put in the lava and the water into this system, we're actually just going to jump down, and from here, we're going to run some redstone and a couple of systems to fire all of this, and we are going to get this thing working. So to start, the first thing that we're going to do off the first and third dropper, we're going to run 2 solid blocks, and on that same first dropper, we're going to run 3 hoppers going into it with 3 composters on top. Next, swinging around off of this third dropper right here, we're going to run out 2 blocks. We're going to run a row of blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks long, and then we're going to ladder ourselves up to the top. Just like that. Next, down here at the bottom dropper, we are going to run 6 solid blocks backwards. We're going to do the same thing off of this front block right here. We're going to place 1 in between, 1 above in the corner. We're going to get rid of these 2 bottom corners, and then we're going to place 1 more solid block like so. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump up here. We are going to place a repeater going into that dropper with another one in the top, another one coming out. We're going to set all of these to the last tick. And then we're going to run 1, 2, 3, all on their last tick. 4, 5, 6, 7, all on the last tick. Another one right here on the last tick. And then we need to run some redstone on all of these empty spots. All the way up to the top, where we are going to place another repeater on the first tick. Now, back down here at the bottom, I'm realizing now that I did this 1 too short. I said to build it out 6, and I only built it out 5. So make sure that you actually build this out properly on the right length. So you want to make sure that it has that many repeaters in the entire system, all of them set to the final tick. Now, this signal right here, this is going to be too short in order to get all the way up to the top. So we're actually going to place 1 more repeater on the last tick right there. And that is all of the redstone repeaters that we need in order to fire this system and get it going. The only thing that we need to do now is we need to put in the on-off system right there in that little corner and run all of our hoppers going into these composters. So starting from right here with the hoppers, we're going to run 3 going right into these composters. 2 more going into the top, with the third one feeding into the middle one. And then we're just going to place a temporary block right here with a hopper going into it. We're going to run 3 hoppers coming back to the front like that, with 1 more feeding into the side, and then 3 more feeding into that hopper. right like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run a hopper going into that temporary block. We're going to remove it. We're going to run 1, 2, 3 hoppers coming straight out to the front. Another one going into that hopper. And that is what they should look like right there. And they have to be in that configuration. Otherwise, we start to get backup in these hoppers right here, which we don't want. And then to finish this off, in this corner, right where this glass is, we're going to place down a temporary block. And we are going to connect our hoppers into that block, going back to that hopper chain right there. And this can be a little tricky, but you can get it. And when you are all done, that is what you should have right there. It looks a little complicated. It's really not. But with all of that done, we now need to run another hopper going into that hopper with 3 more all going directly into it. And then off of these hoppers, we are going to build 2 item sorters. One is going to be for carpet. One is going to be for the seeds. So to start, we're just going to come down off of these hoppers with 2 blocks like so. We're going to come back with 2 blocks like so. We're going to place a temporary block here, so that way we can run another 2 blocks with 2 repeaters going forward. 2 solid blocks on the back side of those repeaters. 2 torches on the front side of those repeaters underneath those hoppers in order to lock it. And what the heck is this? I didn't ask for this. This was you. And with all of that done, we just need to now jump up. And that is so that we can place 2 comparators going out from that area right there. We are then going to run 2 hoppers going into those comparators. Okay, so you want them feeding in. And then we're just going to finish this off with some redstone. Now, from here, what we are going to do is we are actually just going to run 4 random blocks, or we're going to put 4 random blocks inside the outside slots of these hoppers. And then after we get our hands on it, we're going to put some seeds in here, and we're going to put moss carpet in here. But with that done, that is your item sorters complete. Now, what these are going to do is these are going to filter all of the seeds out of the system and the moss carpet too as well. It's kind of useless. It's going to put them back into this one composter, feed it into the system, and then we are going to get more bone meal out of this system. It's actually kind of crazy how much we get. But now, with all of that done, the last final thing that we need to do is we need to put in the on system. We need to put in our collection chest. We need to fill all the stairs up there with some water and then put lava above them in the little gap that is above my head. And then we are done. But I am about to die, so just excuse me. So back here at the front, we are going to place down a temporary block right in where this little gap is. We are going to place down an observer facing down with a sticky block above it. A solid block on the backside of that observer with a sticky piston facing in. We're going to put a lever on that solid block. We're going to remove this, and that is what is going to be used to power the whole system. Nice. It works just like that. Next, coming around to this back hopper or this back dropper right here, we're going to run 2 slabs with a solid block beside it. Beside this one slab, we are going to place down a redstone block with a sticky piston going into it. Behind the dropper, we're going to place down a comparator with 2 pieces of redstone dust and then a redstone torch. And that right there, that is what is going to be used in order to filter all of our bone meal down into this chest. So basically what is going to happen is this system is going to end up keeping 41 bone meal in this system the whole time. It's going to pump the rest of the bone meal that we get back up into the system in order to charge it and actually use it. And then anything else that we get is going to end up in that barrel. So that is your output that you want to use in order to run this to another farm if you would like to. Now for the collection system, right here where this obsidian is, we are going to run down our final set of barrels. We are going to run all of our hoppers going into those barrels, with the final one feeding into that top hopper. Right like that. Now, we need these to have a 1 block gap in them. Otherwise, this redstone torch right here, this is going to actually lock these hoppers and stop items from going down into them. So make sure you have this 1 block gap. But with all of that done right there, that is the entire redstone system done. The hopper system done. And the only thing left that we have to do now is to run some water, some lava, and then we get ourselves some bone meal. And moss too, and moss, I forgot. But before we get our water in place, we need to make sure that it doesn't drop down and destroy all of this redstone. And that is actually very easy. We can just run 4 solid blocks underneath this gap like that. And we can do this for all of these pistons here. And that is going to prevent any water from flowing down and destroying our system. And then from here, we are going to need 6 water in total and 3 lava. And we are going to build ourselves up. We are going to fill each one of these stairs here with some water. We're going to then place lava above this water. You should see it all turn to stone. And then last but not least, to make this just a little bit more efficient, we're going to run 4 stairs going on top of these hoppers. Right where this piston is right here, we're also going to put some obsidian on the backside of this stair. I don't even know if this is really needed. Those 2 were for another design that I'm sure we might not even need those anymore. But with all of that done, the farm is now complete. The only thing that we need to get our hands on is we need to get our hands on some seed, some moss carpet, and at least 6 pieces of bone meal, okay? Can you do that? Okay, there's our seed. There's 2 pieces of bone meal. 3. Oh, that's gonna cost me all my bread, isn't it? 5. Oh no, I need more. Okay, that only took all my bread and 9,000 flowers. But there's our 6 bone meal. We're going to take our 1 seed and we're just going to place it inside one of these item sorters. We're going to place this bone meal in this top dispenser. And what we're going to do is we're going to fire this system once. Ah! We're going to fire this system just once in order to get our hands on some extra moss. And what we want from this is we want 3 pieces of moss. And the reason why we want 3 pieces of moss is so that way, you'll see. You can see I already did this. We can turn it into carpet and put our carpet in this first slot right next to the seeds. And just like that, if you look, you can see we've got bone meal in this bottom hopper. We have bone meal going up through the system all the way to the top. And with all of that done, so are we. We can now turn the system on. We can just let it run and do its thing. This is what the flow of the farm should actually look like when it is done and complete. And after an hour of letting this thing run, we already have our hands on 4, almost 5 stacks of bone meal. Actually, it would be 5 stacks of bone meal if you consider what's going on up here and in here. We have a chest full of moss already coming with the added blocks that go with it. And that is basically it. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you do build this farm, this repeater right here, I said to set it on the last tick. It makes it a little tight if you put it on the last tick, a little bit scary. It almost seems like the water's gonna flow before the actual bone meal strikes that down there. So if your moss block breaks before the bone meal actually strikes, that is the repeater right there that you want to take the delay away from. So either put it on the 3rd or the 2nd or the 1st one, it doesn't matter. But look at that. After an hour, we are already sitting on all the moss blocks that I'm pretty much going to need. A lot of bone meal. I don't know if I'd call that a lot, but it's quite a bit. Do what you want with all of this bone meal. This is enough to basically run, I don't know, some sort of small bone meal farm that needs it. Like maybe a flower farm next to this sucker. Ooh. But that's it. Combine that bone meal with something. Set yourself up a stone farm right here in order to farm stone. You have yourself unlimited mossy stone and you are good to go. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. And let's go. It's time for me. I gotta build a village or trading hall. Ha! Peace.